Welcome back, students. Welcome to the class. Today we are going to discuss the group 18 elements. The first element is helium, the second element is neon, then we have argon, then we have krypton, then we have xenon, and then we have radon. Now, if you see that the atomic size, melting point, boiling point, and physical state, then all of them are in gaseous state. And as we move down the group, what does happen? The boiling point tends to increase here, because the symbol is negative. Okay, so what is going to happen here? That the boiling point going to increase with the increase in the molar mass and the surface area. So what you are really observing is that due to increase in the surface area and molar mass, the boiling point increases. Similarly, you will take the trend in case of melting point, that with the increase in size and molar mass, the melting point is increasing here. Now, first of all, look at the atomic size. The atomic radii of the noble gas increases if we move down the group from helium to radon because of the addition of new quantum shells. This is because the number of shells occupied with the electrons increases as we move down the group. Melting point and boiling point. All the noble gases have low melting point and boiling point. They exist as gases at room temperature and pressure. I am repeating once more. They exist as gases. Okay. This is because noble gases only consist of single atoms, that is monatomic, and they are held together by the weak van der Waals forces of attraction. Only a very small amount of heat energy is required to overcome the weak van der Waals forces of attraction during melting point and the boiling point in case of noble gases. In fact, all noble gases are gases. The melting point and boiling point, it increases when going down the group. The reason being that atomic size of the noble gas increases as we move down the group, but the van der Waals force of attraction becomes more and more stronger. Why? Because of the increase. The more heat energy is required to overcome the stronger interatomic forces during melting point and the boiling point. Density. All the noble gases have very low density. The densities of the noble gas increases as we move down the group. Solubilities. All noble gases are colorless gases and they are practically insoluble in water. Electric and heat conductivity. All noble gases, they are not good conductor of electricity. All noble gases have poor conductor of heat also.
Now we have to look at that, how the various electrons are being arranged. In case of helium, what we are observing that there are 2 electrons. In case of neon, 2 and 8. In case of argon, 2, 8, 8. In case of krypton, it is 2, 8, 18 and 8. In case of xenon, it is 2, 8, 18, 18 and 8. And in case of radon, it is 2, 8, 18, 32, 18 and 8. So these sequence must be known to you because nowadays the question of electronic energy, krypton, xenon, radon are very important. Okay, sure about that? Next is that each helium atom has only 2 electrons. This electronic energy is known as duplet electronic configuration. The outermost shell of the atom of the other noble gases have 8 electrons. This electronic arrangement is known as octet electron arrangement. The duplet electron arrangement of helium and octet electron arrangement of the other noble gases are very stable. Atoms of the noble gas do not release electron except electrons. They never share electrons among themselves even. Noble gases exist as monatomic molecules or atoms and do not react with the other elements of compound except that of xenon and krypton. Till now only these 2 elements have known to form compounds. This means that noble gases are chemically inert and chemically unreactive. Use of the group 18 elements. The inert properties of noble gases enable them to be used in various fields of our daily life. Helium, neon, argons are most commonly used noble gases. Now look at that, the various helium. It is used in filling balloons and airships. The reason is that helium gas is very light and non-flammable, means does not catch fire easily, being unreactive in nature. Hydrogen, the lightest gas, is not used for the above purpose because it is flammable gas. A mixture of 80% of helium and 20% oxygen is used for an artificial atmosphere for diverse reasons. Helium is used in preference to nitrogen because helium being less soluble in our blood, nitrogen can cause a decompression sickness called as bands. We discussed that point in case of Sulfur chapter under the concept of Henry's law, where we have discussed that why noble gases are not able to solve to a large extent in case of water. It is used in thermometer to measure very low temperature. It is used as a protective atmosphere, for growing crystals of silicon and germanium. And as you know that silicon and germanium both are very important because they are used to make the microchips. The next is neon. It is used to fill advertising light bulbs. These bulbs can light up advertisement boards with the reddish brown color. I think almost all of you have seen that various reddish brown colored neon gas lightings. Small neon lamps are widely used and indicate light to show that a circuit is on. Organ. It is used to fill electric bulb. Reason is because argon is chemically inert. So the hot tungsten filament in the bulb does not react with the argon. So result, argon gas prevent the tungsten filament from being oxidized. It is used to provide an atmosphere for the building purposes. Why? Because in that the other reactions can't take place. Because argon gas prevent the hot metals from reacting with oxygen. Are you sure? Argon is used as a carrier gas in liquid gas chromatography because it is unreactive. I repeat once more. That is very important point. Argon is used as a carrier gas in liquid gas chromatography because it is unreactive in nature. Chemical properties of the noble gas. In general, noble gases are very less reactive. Their inertness to the chemical reactivity is attributed to the following reasons. Number one, completely filled closed shell configuration, high ionization enthalpy, and no tendency to accept electrons. So all these three factors make it unreactive in nature. The reactivity of noble gas has been investigated occasionally, and all attempts to force them to react to form compounds were successful. But Neil Breckland, then at the University of Columbia, while exploring the chemical nature of PTF6, noticed that when the compound was accidentally exposed to the air, it produces a red compound that is O2 plus PTF6 negative. It means PTF6 is able to take out one electron from the oxygen molecule. From this, he confirmed that PTF6 acts as an oxidizing agent. Then he realized that this compound should be able to oxidize xenon also as first ionization enthalpy of the molecular oxygen, and that is very much identical to that of the ionization enthalpy of xenon gas. So he made efforts to prepare same type of compound with xenon and was successful in preparing the compound Xg plus PTF6 negative by mixing PTF6 and xenon. So that was the first compound of the noble gases. So you can say that PTF6. That is the first compound of xenon. That is the first compound of the xenon. Are you getting that? After that, a number of xenon compounds, mainly with the most electronegative element like fluorine and oxygen, have been synthesized. The compounds of kryptons are very few, while the compounds of radon have not been isolated, but they are only being identified. No two compounds of argon, neon, and helium have been yet formed.
Now, all the three fluorides of xenon can be prepared by direct reaction between elements under very carefully controlled condition to get very high purity of the compound. When xenon and fluorine are reacted such that fluorine is taken in excess at 1 bar pressure and in a nickel vessel at about 673 Kelvin, xenon difluoride is formed. So this is the perfect case that xenon is able to form the covalent compound. After that, xenon and fluorine they react in the ratio 1:5, and at 7 bar pressure the product was found to be XzF4. And if the xenon and oxygen are reacted together in 1:20 at about 60 to 70 atmospheric pressure and at a temperature of 573 Kelvin, then you have formation of xenon hexafluoride. Xenon hexafluoride can also be prepared from the fluorination of XzF4 by O2F2. Okay, we have already discussed that in the properties of that is the difluoride of the oxygen. O2F2 is what? Difluoride of the oxygen. Now XzF2 forms when xenon and fluorine are taken in a glass flask and irradiated with the sunlight. So what you have formation of XzF2. Enthalpy of formation is minus 105. It is a very powerful oxidating agent. So what happens when it reacts with what? H plus, it will accept 2 electron to give you xenon plus HF. So what can happen? Xenon from +2 transform into 0. So it is a very good oxidating agent. Nonetheless, both XzF2 and XzF4 are only very mildly reactive in nature, where XzF6 it attacks glass. That's why it can't be stored in the glass. Why? Because XzF6 attack the silica SiO2 present in the soda glass. So what happens? You have formation of XzOF4. Okay, sure about that or not? 2 fluorine will occupy the equatorial position and 2 fluorine will oxygen will occupy what? They will occupy the and when we discuss that, it is found that all the fluorines are able to occupy the equatorial positions while oxygen is able to occupy the axial position, and along with that you have formation of SiF4 also. The lone pair on, remember that already question being asked in the previous IIT that how many lone pair present in XzF2, XzF6 and XzF4 and XzF6. The answer is that we will discuss that XzF2 there are presence of 3 lone pair. In XzF4 there is presence of 2 lone pair, and in case of XzF6 there is presence of 0 lone pair. Now what does happen to these fluorides? Xenon fluoride hydrolyzed to give mixture of various type of product like XzF2. When hydrolyzed, it produces xenon and HF. The reaction is very slow, but when the XzF6 react with water, the reaction is highly violent in nature. It produces xenon and oxygen and HF, and along with that XzO3 is also formed. So it means that it is a disproportionate reaction. Okay, it is a disproportionate reaction in which Xg from +4 transform into 0 and +6. So transforming +4 into 0 is reduction, and transforming +4 into +6 is what? Oxidation. Similarly, XeF6 when hydrolyzed completely, it will give you 6HF plus XeO3. So you can say that among the hydrolysis of XeF2, XeF6 and XeF4, the reaction of XeF4 with water is an example of disproportionate reaction. The carefully controlled hydrolysis of XeF4 with the stoichiometric amount of H2O gives you XeOF4, which is a colorless liquid. So that is also one of the case. Xenon fluoride have been used as a fluorinating agent. When SF6 react with XeF4, then SF6 is formed due to the fluorination of SF5. Similarly, when XeF2 react with 2 moles of benzene, then you have formation of fluorobenzene along with formation of xenon and hydrogen. That is very, very important reaction, and that you have to memorize. Now, if you have taken XeF2, it reacts with 2 water molecules, that is hydrolysis, to give you xenon and liberation of O2. So it is not a disproportionate reaction, but reaction of XeF2 with water is a disproportionate reaction. Xenon from +2 becomes 0 and +6. Similarly, when XeF6 hydrolyzes, it hydrolyzes in 3 different manners, with 1 water molecule and with 2 water molecule and 3 water molecule. The reaction with 1 water molecule and with 2 water molecule is called partial hydrolysis. If you react only with 1 water molecule, then you have formation of XeOF4. If you have taken 2 water molecule, it will be XeO2F2, and if it is 3 water molecule, then answer will be XeO3. In case of XeF2 and XeF6, there is no disproportionate reaction happens on hydrolysis, but in case of XeF4, on hydrolysis, disproportionate reaction. Now, the solution of XeO3 formed by the hydrolysis of XeF4 or XeF6 are stable up to 11 molar. With careful evaporation of XO3, it is obtained as a white solid. XeO3 is dangerously explosive. XeO3 dissolved in water as molecules, but in base an equilibrium with OH negative, that is hydroxyl ion, it is formed, forming perxenate, HXeO4 negative, that is called perxenate, which slowly disproportionate in presence of perxenate ion. So XeF2 gives you first perxenate ion, then perxenate ion in presence of OH negative to give you perxenate ion. Here it is hydrogen perxenate, and here it is what? Here it is perxenate ion, in which xenon exists in what? Xenon exists in here +8 state. As you can see here that it is 4 negative. So 6 to the 12, 12 minus 4, it comes out to be what? 8. So you can see easily that xenon here in +8 state. So XeO6 4 negative is isoelectric and isosexual with the para-iodide ion. This ion is called para-iodide ion or para-per-iodide ion. Both XeO3 and XeO6 4 negative, both of them are very, very powerful oxidizing agent. Okay, look at that, medium in both the cases is acidic only. So that is also very, very important. Discuss with you. So I am repeating all the facts once more. XeF2, XeF4 and XeF6 are colorless solids. All of them are highly fluorinating agent. PtF4 when react with platinum, XeF4 when react with platinum, it forms Xg plus PtF6 negative. So first time electron is being removed from the oxygen molecule, and the same reaction repeated here also. So here what happens, platinum is able to remove one electron. All of them are readily hydrolyzed by the traces of the water. So therefore xenon difluoride oxidizes water to oxygen, reducing itself to the elemental xenon. XeF4 reacts violently with water and undergo disproportionate, giving xenon and xenon trifluoride as I told you earlier. Now look at this question. XeF4 hydrolyzed to give you what? Xenon, that is in 0 oxygen state, and XeO3 that is in +6 state. XeF6 also react with water to give highly explosive colorless XeO3. And partial hydrolysis I already told you of the XeF6. So please memorize that xenon fluorides act as fluorinating agent. XeF4 react with SbF5 to give you an ionic compound. So you can see these three very clearly. So in case of XeF3, the central atom is sp3 dehybridized. In case of XeF4, the central atom xenon is sp3d2 hybridized. So this is a structure you are able to understand. These are the two lone pair. One lone pair, that is second lone pair. In case of XeF6, it is distorted octahedral. In case of XeOF4, it is distorted square pyramidal. And in case of XeO3 negative, XeO3, it is pyramidal. It is what? Pyramidal in shape.